Well, with all of us stuck home, we have been talking a lot about what we are watching. And this weekend, you will have something new to watch. That's because Showtime's Billions' latest season is premiering on Sunday. We are joined now by the series co-creators, Brian Koppelman and David Levien, as well as our Julia LaRoche, who brought us this interview. Gentlemen, thank you so much for joining us. It's good to see you, and I'm looking forward to finding out what Chuck Rhoades and Bobby Axelrod are up to in the latest season. Brian, I'm going to start with you. When did you guys wrap shooting on this season? Was it before all of this was done? And sort of how are you feeling about the new season premiering during this pandemic?
Well, I'm really glad that this season is going to premiere now. You know, we finished 7 episodes and we got to shoot them and edit them and add the music and really finish them the way that the show is always finished. And these 7 episodes are super compelling. I'll say every day, David and I get tweeted at, letters written to us with people really wanting the show. And I know that for me, the fact that, there's been content for me to watch and read and listen to during this has been a really big deal. So the fact that our show can be there for people who are, our fans, like Julia, who's been a friend of the show from the beginning, our fans watch these episodes over and over again, and they obsess about them. This is a perfect time to do that and really engage with the show that way.
Yeah. Hey, guys, thank you so much for joining. And thank you for giving us something to look forward to during this crisis. David, I want to bring you into the conversation, kind of like a creative process here. And for the crisis that we're going through, I know you all have conversations with folks on Wall Street, and I know it's maybe a little early, but how do you think about your own characters during this time and how they might even navigate the crisis? I don't know if that's something y'all are thinking about, but it has crossed my mind. What would Bobby Axelrod do?
Well, it's a great question. We do talk to a lot of people, and we've been watching how certain of these guys have been handling it. We're going to deal with it in some way in the show. We're not going to track it and make it like a forensic look at the pandemic. I think other shows may do that. Our show operates like sort of within the world, in a parallel world, so we have to address it. But our story that we need to play out from the beginning half of the season isn't all about that. And we'll speak to it in certain ways, but we're not going to try to get predictive or anything like that. Axe and these other people will have gotten through it smartly, I imagine.
Real life. Oh, go ahead.
I was just going to say that during the course of this, David and I have gotten texts and emails from plenty of billionaires, and although they're tracking this and following this extra closely and speaking to experts and models, getting modeling work done. On the other hand, they're also still asking me which band they should get to play at their next birthday party. So it's not as though they're particularly positioned to withstand a lot of the things that most of us aren't. And so if you think about the way, billionaires as nation states, particularly these kinds of billionaires as nation states, they are able to mount defenses, not to health, obviously, but to the rest of their lives becoming incredibly affected by this.
Although in real life, when their underlings are smashing cell phones and throwing them out on Lexington Avenue to try and, run away from Preet Bharara and his, people, it's one thing. But are you getting any hint of what kind of scams may actually be out there now? Because when you have so much money thrown into a system like is happening now, the bad guys have a heyday, and that's got to be going on.
Well, let me just say, I have a GoFundMe to deal with this problem, and you should just send to me. If we do, Dave, I don't know how you feel about this, but I think any scams that we've identified, I think we're going to hold on to them for a minute so that we can use them on the show.
Yeah, and guys, you were just talking about it. One of the things I love about the show is how you do consult real hedge fund managers, real folks on Wall Street, some of the folks that, I would talk to or know as well. And so I just want to get a sense of, without any spoilers per se, what kind of themes we can expect in season 5, just based on, these conversations that you guys have.
Well, without being too specific and tipping things off, we talk to these guys about greed, aggression, responsibility, inequality, all of these issues that people are dealing with. These billionaires just happen to be super influential with it. I'll tell you, as we've spoken to them in the beginning of this pandemic, you don't feel a lot of fear coming out of them. And maybe it's posturing. Maybe there's an awareness that they're talking to the people who make the show, so they don't want to show vulnerability. But, they have a certain swagger to them for the most part, and they're not showing a lot of fear at this. Even if they think the financial side is unfortunate for now, they're always looking for opportunity where other people are suffering.
I mean, it's also, I was speaking yesterday to a billionaire venture capitalist, and he was talking about, I'd say 10 days ago, he started talking to me about the food supply issues that surfaced in the papers yesterday. And I think probably the difference is those people are able to get pallets of, sides of beef sent to them on their own planes in a way that the rest of us can't. But as Dave said, talking thematically, it is true that many of them over the past couple of years have been thinking about how the inequality of the last 4 years, the sort of the way it's become so obvious, they don't necessarily think about it in altruistic terms, but they do think about it in terms of, well, how is the fact of this inequality going to affect me and my business? How is the fact that a lot of the country is realizing the way in which wealth is concentrated? It's not that they're thinking about it from a place of guilt, but they are thinking about it from a place of, well, how do I remediate this so that it doesn't redound back against me? And that's certainly something that we've thought a lot about and talked a lot about in the writer's room and with these billionaires and with the law side and with the people whose job it is to keep them in line and prosecute them and go after the ones who are skirting the law.
Guys, I want to turn to kind of what happens next with Hollywood, with TV, because whether it's Billions or whether it's other projects you guys are working on, when do you think shooting is going to and production is going to open back up? What does a set look like 6 months from now as a result of all of this? David, I'll start with you.
Yeah, this is something that we're dealing with every day. In the writing portion, the writer's room has gone to Zoom meetings and the writing can take place individually. So that's not much of a problem. But obviously shooting this stuff is a very communal effort. And tons of protocols are being developed and talked about right now within the industry about how all of these dozens and hundreds of crew members are going to come together in confined spaces. And even if they can protect themselves with masks and gloves and everything, how these actors can play these scenes in close quarters, effectively, spitting on each other some of the time from a distance of 2 feet. The rapid testing is going to be a huge part of it. And it's something where there are different scenarios at play. Some people being perhaps overly optimistic are talking about midsummer. Other people are talking about early fall. That's certainly what we hope for. And, the idea that we get back in there using as many smart protocols as we can with whatever the latest information in science is.
All right, guys, thank you so much for joining us. We really appreciate it. I'm looking forward to watching on Sunday. Brian Koppelman and David Levien, the co-creators of Billions. Julie LaRoche,
thanks so much.
Thank you, guys.
Well, take care, guys.
Hey, investors. Zach Guzman here. Are you interested in learning more about the markets and getting the latest financial news? Well, then click right here to subscribe to our Yahoo Finance YouTube channel. Get the latest up-to-the-minute market analysis, big interviews in the world of finance, and information on how to manage your money every day wherever you are.